Hey, what is up YouTube? It's Overlord here, and today I want to discuss Dying Light's PvP problems, and the problem that I am going to be discussing is actually with the Night Hunter in-game, and I really somewhat don't like the Night Hunter anymore. Now, the reason that is because he just kind of feels underpowered compared to any human. The only human that he seems to stack up well against is a very early game human, because it's at that point a very fair fight. Even whenever you rank the Night Hunter up considerably, he just doesn't necessarily stack up all that well versus the humans, and it's just kind of irritating. And some of the things that I am going to be regarding are my personal opinion, but these three things that I am going to start off with, which is the Survivor Sense, the UV light and how fast it drains, and then just the Night Hunter's health, are actually something that I've seen quite a few people kind of complain about, and they've made very valid points, and I'm going to give my own points and my own idea as to how they could fix these problems and make the overall PvP experience a lot better. So whenever you start off playing Dying Light and you're playing the PvP as the Night Hunter, you quickly realize that you don't necessarily stack up well against the humans in a 1 versus 1 fight. You are very squishy. And that's perfectly a-okay. The way that the Night Hunter is supposed to be played is he's supposed to be played more so like a sneaky opportunist. You're supposed to strike the humans whenever they're not paying attention to you, either fighting a zombie, doing parkour, or, you know, doing an objective or something along those lines. And that's a-okay. That's very fine. That's a very fun, new kind of playstyle that many people actually don't play. They kind of play it like a rusher. But the problem with that is the Survivor Sense. Now, the Survivor Sense essentially causes the Night Hunter to appear on their mini-map for, I think it's like 30 meters or something, which is a relatively long range, if not more. And as well as that, there's also this little ping that goes out and pings your location back to them, so they can essentially see wherever you are. So I personally believe that this actually should either be reduced to a very small range or removed altogether. This would place more of an emphasis on teamwork, because you really would have to watch all your corners if you're playing with, say, 2 people or a 4-person team, and along with that, it would add more suspense. I figured that whenever I would first start playing as a Night Hunter or fight against a Night Hunter, it would be extremely suspenseful, but no, they're actually more of an annoyance and a hindrance than an actual threat. And even if I'm playing against a relatively confident Night Hunter, I can usually win the match just by spamming my A button, turning in the general direction that the Night Hunter is in, and then shining my UV light on him for a couple of seconds. And that really kind of ruins the fun of the game mode. And with that, I go into my next point, which is the UV lighting. So the UV lighting, it does 4 things to the Hunter. It makes him glow orange, very bright orange. It slows him down considerably, so much so that a human walking can catch up to him when he's sprinting. Cancels his pounce even if he's caught there for like a half a second in the light, and it just takes away this tiny little nudge of his energy. And then finally it gets rid of his tendril locomotion, and it really shouldn't do that. Now, I do agree with the movement speed being nerfed slightly, say 10-20%, but he should still be able to move fast enough to where he can get away. The tendril locomotion, if you're in the middle of it, I don't think it should be stopped completely and you should just fall to the ground like a fucking brick. I believe that you should be able to finish your tendril locomotion and give actually the Night Hunter a chance to get away. I also believe that on top of this, you should have the ability to still pounce a human if you have at least 75% of your energy, making it to where you'd have to have actually good team cohesion to make sure that the UV light drains your energy faster the more people that you have on it. So everyone pointing in the right direction and having their UV lights on the Night Hunter is very important, and it places even more of an emphasis on teamwork and make sure that no one gets killed. I don't have a problem with him glowing bright orange, and I believe that is actually kind of amusing, to be quite honest, and it doesn't necessarily hamper him in any way unless he's trying to get away, like running on the ground. But I believe if they allowed the tendril locomotion to finish and gave him, say, a 20% reduction to movement speed instead of totally nerfing it, like 120%, then I could see it being less of a problem, and no one would really have a problem with that. It doesn't necessarily hamper him in any considerable way, shape, or form. Now, many people will point out that the Night Hunter has two abilities to block UV light temporarily, which is UV Suppress and Spit, which blocks off the, I believe, the lens of the humans' flashlights, UV flashlights, so they can't use them, and then the UV block. Well, the problem that I have with the UV Suppress and Spit is that if you have two of them, you don't start off with two of them. The second one has to build up over time, and the cooldown for it is just so ridiculously long. You'd probably only get to use one every, say, I believe it's like 2 minutes, and that's a retardedly long time in game. In theory, that's not so long, but whenever you're dealing with competent humans or a full team of humans, that just takes too long. They should probably like cut it in half, maybe bump it up to like 40 seconds or whatever, but I mean, it just takes too long, and it doesn't have the blast radius to actually take down humans. I can see it being more effective if you get the shard shot for it, which I haven't unlocked and I haven't tried out yet, but it essentially allows you to charge the Night Hunter Spit, and you can essentially snipe humans with it, so I can see in that case it being more effective. But that's still a late game thing for the Night Hunter, and in early game he's still ineffective versus, say, mid-tier humans. Even early tier humans are a still threat to him, and even like late game humans are almost impossible to kill if they're competent. So the UV Suppressant Spit definitely needs a little bit of a buff, and I personally see it being with the explosive radius and then just how long it takes for the spit to actually cool down. Now, the UV block ability, I wouldn't have a problem with this if they either reduce the amount of energy that it drained per second, the UV flashlight did, or made it to where you could still pound someone with, say, 75% of your energy. So I believe it's fine just as is. They just need to tweak things, as again, either make it to where the UV flashlight drains your energy less quickly, or make it to where you can still pound someone at 75% energy, and leave the cooldown and everything exactly the same. I don't have a problem with that at all. Now, lastly, I want to talk about the endgame Night Hunter compared to the endgame human. I feel that the endgame Night Hunter should really be something that's actually terrifying. I believe that he should have double the maximum human health at 400, and I believe that his animation for the ground pound should be cut or at least reduced by at least 2 or 3 seconds, because after you've done the animation, you sit there for at least 5 or 6 seconds, kind of, sitting there waiting for a human to come up and smack you. And I personally don't like that at all, because a competent team of 4 players can essentially just send in 2 people to go and fight you, you ground pound, the other one keeps a flashlight on you, and then the last human runs up to you and smacks you twice and kills you. So the Night Hunter most definitely needs a health buff, and then to take away some of the animation time for the ground pound. I don't necessarily have any other problems with him. Maybe his melee damage needs to be buffed slightly, just a tad, because I think it takes like 6 melees, and they either need to buff his attack speed or buff his damage, so it take like, instead of 6 hits, it take like 4, or instead of, him attacking every second, he attacks every, say, 0.5 seconds or something. I don't know, but you get my meaning. They should most definitely buff him, at least in those aspects, making him more of a challenge and actually making him something that's actually terrifying to go against, because they kind of gave the Night Hunter away as this terrible, terrifying monster that you need 4 people to fight against, and he would just absolutely wreck your shit. But instead, as again, he's more of an annoyance than anything else. So if you guys do agree with my ideas as to what they should do to buff the Night Hunter and to fix him, then please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. This is Overlord signing out, and I will see you guys next time.